Hey everybody, welcome back to Retro Modding News, my weekly video where I talk about what's new and upcoming in the world of retro console modding. First up this week, we have an interesting prototype from Zwenergy. Zwenergy, if you don't know, is the original developer behind the GBA HD Game Boy Advance Consolizer. This time he's showing off a WonderSwan color Consolizer. I really don't know that much about the WonderSwan, but if this Consolizer is anything like the GBA HD Consolizer, then I have no doubt that it's going to be a high quality video output. I don't know what the original output resolution of the WonderSwan is, but it sounds like this is going to be 480p at 3x scaling. So I'm excited to hear more information about this Consolizer. Frankly, I'm excited to hear about anything that Zwenergy makes. Next up, we got a quick update from Miramasa about PlayStation 1 shells. It looks like there is now an opaque black PlayStation shell available for pre-order. This definitely has some Net Eurose kind of vibes because that was a black PlayStation 1 sort of dev kit. But unfortunately, this replacement shell is not going to have any of the colored labels, and I don't think it comes with an included PlayStation logo. That shouldn't be that difficult to swap over from a real PlayStation 1 shell to this one. And the other kind of bummer is right now there are no aftermarket PlayStation 1 controller port that I know of. So you're unfortunately going to have to use the original gray PlayStation 1 ports with this new shell. I have heard some rumors that there will be matching PlayStation 1 controller ports, but for right now you're just going to have to rely on the gray ones. Either way, I have no doubt that this is going to be a high quality shell, and black is a kind of a cool color anyways for any kind of consoles. If you're trying to collect an all black PlayStation setup, then you need this one. And then I guess you would need black shells for your PlayStation 5. Anyways, this is pretty cool, and if you're interested, you can pre-order one now on Miramasa's website. In addition to the black shells, it looks like Yowie, sorry if I butchered that name, Retro Cool, is looking for some input about what the next color for PlayStation 1 shells should be. Here are your options. There is a translucent orange, green, or yellow versions. So I'll put a link to this poll in the description if any of these three colors here kind of catches your eye, or maybe if you want to comment on what color that you'd like to see, go ahead and respond to this poll. Next up, we've got a couple of interesting Virtual Boy mods. This first one here is a Rumble pack for the Virtual Boy. Now, I'm not sure if the Virtual Boy had Rumble by default, but it looks like there are some homebrew games now that will support Rumble in the Virtual Boy. In addition to having the Rumble haptics in this little module, it looks like there also is a new power input. So maybe this is sort of an updated AC module, so you can have maybe cleaner input to your Virtual Boy. The AC-DC wall adapter will actually be included with this Rumble pack. And speaking of Virtual Boy controller mods, this next one is actually an external BlueRetro module for the Virtual Boy. BlueRetro, if you don't know, is an open source platform that allows you to use Bluetooth controllers with a wide variety of retro consoles. This particular adapter is now for the Virtual Boy. So this should just plug in right where the Virtual Boy controller would plug in. I think that this BlueRetro adapter would be really cool if you had a Virtual Boy video output. Like I think there is this Virtual Tap mod that allows you to have like a VGA output for your Virtual Boy, basically creating a Consolizer out of the Virtual Boy itself. I know that there are some Virtual Boy Consolizer mods floating around there, but I think it might be interesting to use the Virtual Boy itself kind of as its own Consolizer shell instead of stripping everything out of that, putting it in a different shell. Now, both of these Virtual Boy mods are from this company called Retro Onyx, and both of them have a minimum number of orders that need to be placed in order for either of these mods to be created. So if you're interested in either the Rumble pack or the BlueRetro adapter, now's the time to place your order for one or the other. And the big story this week, I wanted to clarify the GameCube controller port mods that I talked about last week. There have been a few developments since then, so I just wanted to clarify both this one from Pointer Function as well as the one from LaserBear. Let's take a look at an updated version from Pointer Function here. This is a GameCube controller port PCB. Essentially, it's going to go in the same spot in the GameCube where the original GameCube controller port PCB goes, right in the front. This one from Pointer Function is going to have a built-in and already pre-configured PicoBoot mod. PicoBoot, if you don't know, is a new mod for the GameCube that will allow you to boot into Swiss for playing homebrew or backup games from an SD card. And one of the quirks about the PicoBoot mod is it was originally designed for the Raspberry Pi Pico kind of standalone developer board. And one of the byproducts from using a Raspberry Pi is you have to find a location inside the GameCube to sort of mount it. The PCB itself doesn't have a Raspberry Pi Pico mounted on it. It's actually the processor that's on the Raspberry Pi Pico, the RP2040, and all the circuitry that's needed to power that RP2040 module. So hopefully that clarifies what this Pointer Function GameCube controller port mod is. I think it would be awesome for people who might be kind of OCD about where the Raspberry Pi Pico would go in the GameCube. This kind of solves that by kind of stealthily hiding it in the front controller port PCB. And now let's talk about the LaserBear mod. This is an internal BlueRetro adapter, basically specifically for the GameCube. So this board will not have a PicoBoot integrated in it. This one is going to have the ESP32 module that is needed for the BlueRetro adapter. And sort of along with that Laser Bear BlueRetro module, it looks like there was an update to BlueRetro as well, kind of a firmware update, and Darth Cloud here is showing off what it's actually doing. This update will allow you to basically kind of mix and match using Bluetooth controllers as well as physical wired controllers in a GameCube. And it seems like it senses which controller is plugged into which port. So first, Darth Cloud kind of connects the Bluetooth controller and it's in player 1. Then he plugs the wired controller into player 1, which replaces the Bluetooth controller with the wired controller, and then he can connect the Bluetooth controller automatically to player 2 without needing to really reconfigure anything. So this seems like the ultimate Bluetooth mod for the GameCube. I know we have the Wavebird controllers for the GameCube flying around, but I definitely feel like Bluetooth controllers are an improvement over those Wavebird controllers, especially since those Wavebirds are getting pretty expensive to buy. Now, the only downside to using BlueRetro on a GameCube is there's really no authentic looking Bluetooth GameCube controller. The closest thing we were going to get to an authentic looking Bluetooth controller for the GameCube was the Panda GameCube controller, which was a Kickstarter, but that got canceled. So unfortunately, I think the closest thing we might be getting is like the Switch Pro controller. That might be the closest resemblance to the GameCube controller. I really think it would be awesome if somebody created a drop-in replacement PCB for original GameCube controllers. That way you could use them with all the BlueRetro adapters. I hope that clarifies these two GameCube controller port PCBs. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments below. That's it for this week. If you want to suggest a news story to me, follow me on Twitter or join the Discord. If you want to watch older retro modding news videos, you can check out this playlist here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.